Barcelona are back on top of La Liga. Manchester City just delivered their best game of the season, not just in England, but maybe anywhere in Europe. Manchester United are cooking up a transfer window that could completely flip their squad, and some of the names on the exit list will shock you. There's a full-on scandal at Real Madrid where the board believes the players might actually be turning on Xabi Alonso. And on top of that, Khvicha Kvaratskhelia is being mentioned as a possible replacement for Vinicius Jr. at the Bernabéu. All that and a lot more in today's show. You guys got it right. This is Football Frenzy and your top stories from around the football world. As always, your support keeps this thing alive day after day. So if you're watching or listening, just know it really matters. Grab your food, get comfortable, and let's dive into the madness. Manchester United are planning a massive clear-out this winter. 4 expensive players could be shipped out. Ruben Amorim has already made up his mind. He doesn't see them in his project, and you can tell by how little they're playing this season. According to The Express, United are ready to listen to offers for Tyrell Malacia, Manuel Ugarte, Kobbie Mainoo, and Joshua Zirkzee. The most surprising name there is Ugarte, not because of his form this particular season, but because he's basically a product of Amorim's work. At Sporting Lisbon, under Amorim, Ugarte went from promising kid to top midfielder and earned his move to PSG. You'd think out of everyone in this squad, he'd be the one guaranteed a starting spot under his old coach. Instead, Amorim prefers a 33-year-old Casemiro. Kobbie Mainoo also landed in the danger zone. One of the most talented academy graduates, a starter for England, physically gifted, highly rated by everyone, and he's glued to the bench like he committed some crime. If United manage to move those players on, the money goes straight into the weakest part of their team right now, midfield. Their shortlist is full of familiar Premier League names: Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest, Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace, Carlos Baleba from Brighton, and a slightly less obvious option, Angelo Stiller from Stuttgart. It's not that Stiller isn't good. He's one of the most exciting young midfielders in the Bundesliga. It just feels like United prefer Premier League talent, even though it costs a fortune. Every time they bring in players like Mbeumo or Cunha from English clubs, it works out. When they look abroad, like with Šeško, it's been more hit and miss so far. On top of that, there's a completely wild rumor floating around England. Manchester United might move for Neymar. The Brazilian wants to prove to Carlo Ancelotti that he still deserves a place in the national team. To do that, he needs to show he can perform at the highest level again, and Old Trafford would be a huge stage. Just look at Casemiro, older, slower, but still a regular for Brazil. Neymar's transfer fee would be relatively low at this point, and if he's desperate enough to reach the World Cup, he might even accept a symbolic salary just to get the move done. The real question is whether this makes any sense for Amorim's system. How does an injury-prone, aging superstar fit into the high-intensity football of the Premier League? Those questions almost answer themselves, but as a media story, it would be pure chaos. And if the finances somehow don't break the club, it's not hard to see United at least thinking about it. Meanwhile, Antoine Griezmann is approaching the final stretch of his story at Atletico Madrid. At 34, the club is already planning how to transition into the next era, and his role will slowly shrink. That's a normal cycle for a team that wants to stay competitive for years. For a long time, it seemed like his final chapter would be in MLS. Comfortable life, lighter schedule, growing league, and a place where European veterans instantly become local superstars. Griezmann has talked many times about his love for American sports, American culture, and his desire to live in the US at some point. But now, Spanish reports say Flamengo have entered the chat, and not just for a romantic farewell tour. This is a serious club that fights for titles, wins Copa Libertadores, regularly ranks among the best teams in South America, and has a squad strong enough to compete with top 5 league sides. We saw how good Flamengo can be at the Club World Cup. For Griezmann, that's a chance not just to ride off into the sunset, but to keep competing for real trophies at high speed and intensity. He loves the atmosphere in South American football, the noise, the emotion, the permanent sense of drama. That's exactly the kind of environment where he might feel most alive at this stage of his career. MLS is still in the picture, but now it's only one of the routes, not the default choice. Flamengo suddenly look like an option that could completely change how his career ends. Not a soft landing, but another wild chapter where every single match matters. The decision isn't made yet, but the fact a Brazilian giant is seriously in the race already makes the upcoming summer a lot more interesting. And Manchester City produced an absurd 9-goal game. Erling Haaland ended his little mini drought and opened the scoring in the 17th minute, immediately breaking Alan Shearer's record for fastest to 100 Premier League goals. Haaland needed just 111 matches to hit that mark. Later, he slipped in a gorgeous assist for Tijani Raiders, slicing 4 Fulham players out of the game with 1 pass and leaving his teammate alone with the keeper. Then he added another assist, a hat-trick of goal contributions, and he could have had 5 if the woodwork hadn't denied him twice. By the 54th minute, City were already 5-1 up. For everyone watching, it felt over. Everyone except Fulham. They kept pushing, kept believing, and somehow hammered 3 more goals past Donnarumma, nearly pulling off the impossible. Khvicha Kvaratskhelia had to clear the ball off the line in the 98th minute to keep City in front. Right now, that's easily the craziest game of this Premier League season, and maybe of the entire European campaign. Pure chaos from start to finish. But the league wasn't done. Newcastle and Tottenham said, "Hold my beer," and went at it as well. Newcastle at home are a completely different animal and played Spurs off the pitch for long stretches. But Tottenham still have Christian Romero. Mickey van de Ven has already scored 3 goals this season, and his partner in central defense refused to be left behind, scoring twice in this match. His second goal, which rescued a draw in the 95th minute, was an overhead kick. He didn't even catch it perfectly. It came off his shin, but the ball somehow flew through a crowd of players and ended up in the net, leaving Aaron Ramsdale frozen. Emotions went through the roof. Romero immediately started winding up the Newcastle fans. Just another totally normal midweek in the Premier League. 2 ordinary games that look like final rounds of a crazy tournament. And somehow there are still people arguing it isn't the best league in the world. France, things somehow managed to look even uglier. Nice are already in crisis after 6 straight defeats, and their fans decided to make everything worse by physically attacking their own players. Instead of helping the team find a way out, the Ultras turned the club into a crime scene. According to French outlet L'Équipe, Terem Moffi and Jeremy Boga, who suffered the most, have filed legal complaints against the fans who hit them. Both players are now on leave. Club doctors examined them and gave Moffi time off until Sunday, and Boga 5 days of rest. France's sports minister, Amélie Oudéa-Castéra, publicly condemned the attacks, saying there is no justification for treating players that way, people who give their lives to the game every day. She stressed that this kind of violence has nothing to do with real support, and promised that those responsible must be punished. Reports also revealed why Moffi and Boga were targeted more than others. Boga once admitted he grew up supporting Marseille. Even his public apology on social media didn't calm the Ultras. Moffi, meanwhile, was seen laughing and chatting with Lorient officials after a loss, which the fans took as disrespect. Both players, understandably, no longer want anything to do with Nice and are looking to leave. On top of that, coach Francesco Ferrioli, who managed to avoid being physically attacked, is also planning to walk away. You can't blame him or the players. The relationship between them and the fan base is shattered. For the club's project, this is a serious blow. Nice will likely have to sell Moffi and Boga at a discount, rush to find replacements, and try to convince a new coach to accept a job where bad form can literally get you punched. Future signings will think twice before joining a club with that kind of reputation. In the end, those hardcore Ultras did more damage to Nice than any player ever could by smiling at an old club or admitting they once liked a rival. This winter is shaping up to be wild for goalkeepers. Marc-Andre ter Stegen has effectively lost his spot as Barcelona's #1. Officially, he's out with an injury, but everyone can see the shift. Joan Garcia is now the starter. At best, ter Stegen comes back as his backup. At worst, he drops even further down the pecking order after disagreements with the board. According to Fabrizio Romano, the German understands where he stands and is ready to leave. With a World Cup coming up, this might be his last chance to arrive as Germany's first-choice keeper, if Manuel Neuer doesn't return to the national team. Ter Stegen needs to prove he's fully recovered and still worthy of that role. If he doesn't, someone like Alexander Nubel or even the young Noah Adebolu, who's having a brilliant season at Freiburg, could jump ahead of him. Chelsea were already interested last summer and may come back with a new offer. But it's not just Ter Stegen thinking about moving. At Manchester City, both James Trafford and Stefan Ortega are unhappy with their current situation. According to Alex Crook, Guardiola would prefer to sell Ortega and keep Trafford as the long-term option. He sees the Englishman as a future star. The problem is that the concrete offer on the table right now is for Trafford, not Ortega. Wolves want him, and honestly, that move might not be great for his career. They're close to being relegated already, and there should be better options for a 23-year-old keeper who many in England see as a future number one for the national team. He needs regular football at a stable Premier League club, not constant pressure at the bottom of the table or endless time on City's bench behind Donnarumma. Another goalkeeper being linked with a move is Guglielmo Vicario at Tottenham. Spurs are extremely happy with him and want to extend his contract, but so far, he's stalling. Fabrizio Romano says Inter Milan are very keen. They tried to sign him after selling Onana, but Tottenham beat them to it. It's very possible that after a couple of seasons in London, Vicario feels he chose the wrong path and decides to go back to Serie A to become Inter's next long-term number one. While we're in Italy, Aurelio De Laurentiis is trying to start a small revolution. Napoli haven't joined the Super League, but their president publicly backed Florentino Perez's project and has been very vocal about how Serie A is falling behind the Premier League financially. He recently suggested a reform of the Italian league to create a more sustainable ecosystem. His idea? Start the season later, have fewer clubs so the calendar is less congested, and avoid international breaks draining teams' energy. He argues that the number of teams doesn't matter as much as the overall quality. His big comparison is with the NBA. There's no relegation there, so small market teams aren't afraid to invest. In his view, the constant threat of dropping out of Serie A makes owners too scared to spend. It's an interesting comparison, but not exactly realistic. The NBA is an independent league that only answers to itself, its franchises, and its investors. Serie A has to deal with Italian authorities, FIFA, and UEFA. Any reform gets stuck in layers of bureaucracy before it even reaches a serious vote. On top of that, Italian stadiums are a mess. Many of them haven't been updated since the 1990 World Cup. As a product, Serie A isn't leading the way anymore, even though they have some of the most innovative coaches in the world. That's why their recent TV rights negotiations were a flop. They were hoping for a deal over €1 billion starting from 2023 and ended up with around $900 million. Something has to change, but De Laurentiis' no relegation plan has almost no chance. If the government doesn't kill it, Gianni Infantino or Alexander Ceferin will. On top of that, fans of Serie B and lower divisions would go crazy if the door to the top flight was slammed shut. Almost every club down there played in Serie A at some point. How do you decide who gets to stay forever and who's locked out? The whole idea sounds more like a conversation starter than a real roadmap. Barcelona, meanwhile, are still drowning in financial problems, no matter how much the board tries to pretend everything is under control. Sporting director Deco recently said there's no need to be active on the market when you have players like Lamine Yamal, Pau Cubarsí, Gavi, Alejandro Balde, Marc Casado, and others coming through. He insists they're using youth, not because of the crisis, but because the kids are simply good enough. And it's true. This generation is incredibly talented, but club legends don't fully agree with his version. Gerard Piqué openly said the opposite. Barca do have serious financial issues and have been in trouble for years. La Masia has saved them, and so did the work of Xavi and now Hansi Flick. If everything was so perfect, Barca would have signed a proper replacement for Inigo Martinez in defense last summer or a top defensive midfielder the year before. Either there's no money or they're handling it terribly. In both cases, the board is responsible. Despite that, last summer, Barcelona somehow pulled off a big-name move. They brought in Marcus Rashford from Manchester United on loan and negotiated a ridiculously low buy option. Just €30 million. That's nothing for a player of his quality. especially considering how he's playing this season. Rashford has fit in well, works for the team, and is having a strong campaign in Spain. He's settled, effective, and even ready to accept a lower salary to stay. On paper, it looks like a no-brainer to keep him. But according to The Athletic, Barca are planning to turn down the buy option and send him back to Manchester. The most logical explanation is simple. They don't have the money and need to prioritize signing a pure number 9. They also intend to say goodbye to Robert Lewandowski. That part makes sense. He's aging, slowing down, and they need a new long-term striker. But buying a top-level 9 will be expensive, and if they spend 30 million on Rashford, there may not be enough left. The only way this doesn't look like a mistake is if another insane La Masia talent appears out of nowhere and instantly hits Yamal's level, making Rashford genuinely redundant. Otherwise, it feels like Barca are letting a bargain slip through their fingers because their finances are still broken. Over in Madrid, things aren't much better. Real Madrid are in a crisis heading into their match against Athletic. According to The Athletic, both the board and coaching staff admit it will be extremely hard to dig themselves out anytime soon. Sources inside the club told Maria Cartagena that the team is playing terribly, and they called the game against Girona a catastrophe. The upcoming match with Athletic is crucial for Xabi Alonso. If Real completely collapse again, he could lose his job. The board also accepts part of the blame. They know their transfer decisions helped create this mess, and they're already thinking about a mini rebuild. Cartagena reports that Real don't plan to renew David Alaba's contract. He'll leave next summer as a free agent, and honestly, few people will even notice. Constant injuries have already pushed him out of an important role. His salary is huge, so his departure will free up a lot of space. Antonio Rudiger's future is also uncertain. There's no clear consensus on whether he should stay. Dani Ceballos and Fran Garcia are both unhappy with their minutes. Ceballos tried to leave in 2024, nearly joined Marseille last summer, then backed out at the last second, hoping Xabi Alonso would finally trust him and that it would help him secure a spot in Spain's national team. So far, that hasn't happened, and he'll consider his options again this winter. Fran Garcia has somehow become the third-choice left-back and wants more responsibility, so he's also thinking about leaving. On top of that, Real are open to selling Rodrigo. After going through a run of around 30 games without scoring, he lost the untouchable status he used to have. If a big offer arrives, the club will seriously consider it. At the same time, they're happy to send young Endrit out on loan to Lyon once his move is finalized, giving him a softer landing in Europe. They'll also look to strengthen midfield, with players like Casey Smith from AZ and Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace on their radar. Wharton looks ready for a jump to this level. Whether a 19-year-old like Smith is prepared for Real Madrid is a very different question. Barcelona's latest win over Atletico Madrid was supposed to be a statement. It was a rescheduled match from the 19th round, and Atletico came into it in spectacular form. 7 straight wins, 16-3 on aggregate. They looked like genuine title contenders again after a rough start. Barca had just climbed back to the top of the table thanks to Real Madrid's slip-ups, but the gap between first and fourth was tiny. One bad night could drop them right back into the middle of the Champions League spots. Atletico started the game like they were at the Metropolitano, not at Barca's home ground. They pressed high, pushed forward, and created danger, but couldn't turn that pressure into goals. Gradually, the momentum shifted and Barcelona took control. That's when Atletico's plan B kicked in. Drop deep, sit in a low block, and try to exploit Barca's high defensive line with long balls. One of those finally worked. Pau Cubarsí failed to hold the line. Alvaro Morata got in behind, and Alex Garcia couldn't bail his team out. Atletico took the lead. After that, they essentially abandoned attacking. It was pure deep defending and long clearances. That kind of approach doesn't work forever. Rafinha broke through, rounded the keeper, and rolled the ball into an empty net to equalize. Barca could have easily gone ahead before halftime, but the ball just refused to go in. And then came the moment that left everyone stunned. Robert Lewandowski's penalty. Barca got a spot kick, Lewandowski stepped up, and hit it like a nervous kid who suddenly found himself in a stadium he wasn't ready for. It was weak, predictable, and for a player with his resume, absolutely embarrassing. You could see the disbelief on the faces of Hansi Flick and even Gavi watching from the stands. The second half didn't bring much new. A messy sequence, a few ricochets, chaos in Atletico's box, and Dani Olmo somehow steered the ball into the net. Atletico tried a late siege with every weapon they had. Griezmann, Surloth, anyone who could cause trouble, but it didn't work. Instead, Barcelona punished the spaces left at the back on the counter, and Ferran Torres finished the job with a third goal, almost mocking Lewandowski by showing what a calm finish looks like in a big moment. With that win, Barca firmly secured first place in La Liga, at least until the weekend. Meanwhile, Real Madrid's problems extend beyond the pitch. The board believes Xabi Alonso's words aren't getting through to the players, and instead of backing him, some of the stars might actually be making things worse. Right after a horrible performance against Girona, Vinicius Jr. showed up late to training, according to El Chiringuito. There's no clear info on how Alonso reacted, but it certainly didn't help the tension. On top of that, Real have been unable to extend Vinicius's contract. The club is furious with his camp. They say they'd already agreed on a deal worth €20 million a year plus $10 million in bonuses. Vinicius's side claims those bonuses mysteriously disappeared from the official offer. Real's leadership says there was a verbal understanding that the agents didn't honor, so the deal fell apart. Now Vinicius wants to earn at Mbappe's level, including a massive signing bonus similar to the Frenchman's, which Mbappe received only because he arrived as a free agent, saving Real a transfer fee. According to Don Balone, Florentino Perez suspects that Vinicius, Rodrigo, and Valverde are unhappy with the coach and could even be sabotaging him. If Real can't find an agreement with Vinicius soon, they'll sell him. Even with just 1 year left on his deal, they'd still make serious money and use it to buy a new left winger who's easier to manage. One of the main targets is Khvicha Kvaratskhelia, now at Paris Saint-Germain. For him, Real Madrid wouldn't need a long pitch. He's already said that Real were his childhood dream, that he grew up watching them on TV. If the Bernabéu calls, he's jumping on that plane. For Real, it would be a clean break from all the drama, and a chance to replace chaos with someone obsessed with making that dream come true. And that's where we'll wrap it for today. Barcelona holding on to the La Liga throne, Real Madrid slipping deeper into crisis, Premier League games turning into basketball scores, ultras in France dragging their own club down, keepers preparing for a game of musical chairs, and big names like Griezmann standing at the crossroads of their careers. Football doesn't slow down, and neither do we. Thanks for sticking around till the end. We'll keep grinding every single day as long as you keep backing us with your support and your comments. This was your daily hit of football frenzy. Peace to your home, and joga bonito, friends.